Bought a Goldwing 9 days ago. As part of my learning process of learning this Goldwing is so far very nice in that I don't feel that I have to go super fast to get some excitement out of it, which is good, but it does tend to scrape a boot much quicker than I'd like. Oh, got to get used to scraping a foot. See if I can do these corners again and maybe not lean the bike over quite as much so I don't get the scrape. So let's see if I can hold the bike up more. That worked. That was probably slower too. That's going to be something I need to figure out, is at what point does the bike scrape, and try not to get it down that way. So I just have to lean over a little more and keep the bike upright. Still learning this DCT. This is a dirty road. Lots of gravel in the middle. And using brakes to go into the corners way more than I'm accustomed to doing. Normally I just downshift. I've downshifted a few times. Doesn't seem to give me the same significant slowdown that I get on my KTM, but I downshift it much more aggressively, very aggressively on the KTM, so that's not a fair comparison. So just getting used to this DCT. As far as sport mode, I've read some comments of people, can't remember exact words, but thinking sport mode was insane, it was crazy, it was fast, it was all this. It is something that with just a little bit of practice I found I've been able to get the hang of it. This is a video my wife shot of me day one coming into the driveway. The driveway's got a crazy, insane lip on it, so you have to go slow. That's me in sport mode doing it. So definitely once you get the hang of how responsive it is, it's no problem. I've been going through a lot of crazy gravel, turning from one road to another, all of it in sport mode. The bike handles it just fine. So it's just adjusting my brain to the level of responsiveness. When I came up the driveway, you can see I was showing that I hadn't done enough slow speed maneuvering as I was kind of duck walking by. And so been out in the parking lot a little bit this morning, going around doing some figure eights, just trying to get the slow speed handling of this bike down. That's something I wanted to get before riding it to work, riding it in traffic. I wanted to master the bike. So feeling a lot better on it. I think I'm getting closer to not looking like I'm doing a duck walk. I've managed to keep the heated vest off for the majority of the day, even down to 42 degrees, which is not something I would do on my other bikes. At 42 degrees I would definitely be cranking the heated vest, but just using the heated seat, which I have turned off right now at 47 degrees because it just got too warm. So today is my third day. I'm now up to 421 miles. And one thing I thought about yesterday is when I stopped out to Romney Cycles to talk to the owner, I took him out to show him the bike, and it was a miserable, cold, the weather was just nasty, gloomy, cold, rainy, and I couldn't wait to get back in. But the truth was, I had just arrived 5 minutes earlier than that. I was perfectly comfortable on the Goldwing. I did not have my heated vest going. So it's this bike, even though I have the windshield down so I can look over it, so far I haven't gotten used to trying to look through it, and the glare is just really kind of overly challenging for me right now to get used to that. But it was funny because the weather sucked. As far as I still have my coat on, got the owner to come out and talk as we stood there by the bike, and both of us kind of felt like, boy, it sucks. Let's get back in the building. But when I got back out on the Goldwing, the weather hadn't changed. It was 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later. Perfectly comfortable in those temperatures. Did not turn on the heated vest and rode for another couple hours. So today when I went out at 40, what is it for right now? It's 44 degrees. It's sunny today, which is nicer. Perfectly fine. It's amazing how this bike seems to bend the weather. I feel perfectly comfortable at this temperature. No heated, I took off my heated jacket or my heated vest. That's something I really like about this Goldwing. It's comfortable, even without my heated gear in the low 40s. I've only got the heated seat on 2 right now. I've got my heated grips on 2. Feels good. That's a big positive for the Goldwing. I've watched a lot of videos on the Goldwing. One video, and I'll call out a guy named Cruiseman, who seems to have made a lot of Goldwing videos. He's very prolific. Cruiseman, thanks very much. I've learned a lot from watching your videos. I really appreciate it. In one, you said things that Honda could do better was the parking brake. And you pointed out how most people sooner or later on a DCT will take off with the parking brake on. Took me a grand total of 3 days to get to that point where I did it. So it's a horrible feeling to be riding along and then all of a sudden you're smelling something and you really felt the bike was a little sluggish, and you finally look down at your dash and you see that red light there and go, crap. Fortunately, I don't see a trail of smoke behind me, so I don't think the bike's on fire, but definitely smelled it, and it definitely did it. The red light was always there, but just as I miss my blinker sometimes, continuing to blink, well, I didn't really pay attention to the red light, so I definitely rode more than I'd like to admit, farther than I wanted to with the brakes on. I'm going to start using a visual clue to tell me when I left my brakes on. I'm sure other people have done this, and you guys may be listening to this going, yeah, we tried that, it doesn't work. But I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to put a red ribbon up there to give me a warning of when I'm doing something that stupid. Something I'm finding super annoying on the bike, I mean, this is really annoying, is this silver piece here and the silver down here is causing a reflection in the windscreen, so there's constantly this silver dancing across the windscreen as I'm riding, and it's really distracting. So when I put the windshield up, I'm not just seeing through a clean windshield, I've got all this silver right here, and I so far haven't been able to ride through a set of twisties with it because it's just way too distracting. So I have to imagine I'm not the first person to ever notice this, because I just have all this reflection up here, and I'm figured out it's coming from the silver that's here and here and here. There's got to be a way to block that, because that is irritating. The way to fix it is make sure you're always looking over the windscreen at the road, which is what I've been doing to avoid that distraction, and that works. But one of the ideas behind a Goldwing is you got this wonderful pocket of air. Well, I can't do it without being really distracted. So I'm curious to get out there and look and see if somebody has addressed a way to make this not be so reflective in the windshield. So day 4 of learning the Goldwing. It's been a learning experience getting my first impressions of this bike. Right now at 505 miles. Talking to my wife this morning about what kind of shakedown I'm going to do on this and that, and try this and that, and she said, well, you know, if you don't drive to work, it's really not a shakedown, and all this has been BS. Really? I live 48 miles from work, and you think I'm going to ride all the way to work? Hold on, let's get back in sport here. But she had a point. I don't normally ride on the hot lanes and all that, and that's all different to me. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Something I found riding in, I'm so used to being in sport now, but I was finding the ride was a little harsh, and I was surprised by that. It's a Goldwing, but I do recall reading the book, and then it changes the suspension depending on what mode you're in. So I did switch to touring. Whether you're in 7th gear in sport or 7th gear in touring really doesn't make any difference. It's how quickly does it drop down. And one of the things I've been getting used to is just shifting with my thumb when I need more power. That seems to be something that will work for me, and that way I can use touring when I want a smoother ride. Matter of fact, let me go to that right now. And that does something to the suspension. I'll have to go back and read the book and see exactly what it is. I'm not sure. But it does seem to make a difference on these bumps here, and just how harsh it feels, because it was feeling kind of clickety-clackety as I was hitting bumps before. And I do think touring mode has smoothed that out. But if I need to, I can always just drop a gear and go. The idea that Honda didn't give us power ports up front is, quite honestly, ridiculous. I have an 890 KTM dirt bike 2023. It has 2 power ports up front, both a cigarette style and a USB. There's nothing on this Honda. There is the one inside the glove box, which is a data port. And I know when I tried to plug a GoPro into a data port, it doesn't work. The idea that Honda doesn't provide at least one power outlet outside of the glove box up front is ridiculous. I like to run with a 360 camera on all the time, so that I can leave it on a looping situation, so that when something happens I can hit the button and I've got whatever happened. That's how you end up with pictures like this. That only happens because I have a port powering the 360 camera, and on those rare circumstances where there's something to take a picture of or take a video of, just click the button and you got it. You're not going to do that on this Honda, because you end up having to plug in the batteries and have a ridiculous setup like I've got going on right now, with wires going all over the place. And so I think Honda did a terrible job at setting up this 2023 to be a modern motorcycle. Modern motorcycles have power available to the rider. And the thing I like about this bike, it can get out of its own way. Oh my God, I'm in ink. I'm like, why isn't it going? Well, I'm in Econ. Okay, that's the first time I had it in Econ. I don't know how the hell that happened. It can't get out of its way in Econ, but in sport, it can. 600 miles. Traditionally, that's when a bike has been considered broken in, but according to the manual and the way I read it, Honda doesn't even want an oil change on this for the first 4,000 miles. So, while I would normally call this broken in now, Honda only had a 300-mile limitation on it, or recommendation that somebody had. I can't find it in my book, but I assume it's in my book, saying no full throttle and no rapid acceleration or whatever, which, whoops. Overall, the bike is a great bike. Do I have any regrets about buying it 9 days ago? No, I don't. When I put it away yesterday, I was thinking, I'm going to go out and ride my big KTM and just get my ride on, because that's a bike that I can go out and unleash and love it. And by the time I got up this morning, I'm like, I want to ride the Goldwing one more time. So that's, to me, that's a really good positive.
It's not my KTM Super Adventure S, and it's not my KTM 890, but you know what? I bought it to not be those. I already have those. I wanted something completely different, something I wouldn't mind commuting on. I would never commute on those bikes. This, I don't think is going to be any problem commuting on. I'm looking forward to what it's going to do. I'm looking forward to taking it on a trip. I've always traveled on adventure bikes, which I love adventure bikes, and I will continue to own adventure bikes, but this is a whole different level of long distance riding. I'm really curious what it's going to be like to actually tour across country on this as opposed to taking an adventure bike. So I'm looking forward to all that. I'm glad I bought it. Overall, positive thoughts about the bike. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Ride safe. So what's hitting me right now as I complete my 4 days? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to put it in neutral before you put the kickstand down. So I complete my 4th day of riding this. I've got 626 miles on it in 4 days, and I've been riding, I don't know, for the last 3-4 hours. Probably did 200 miles today, I think. What's hitting me right now is there's still sunlight. Let's keep going. That's the way my other bikes make me feel. I find that really encouraging that this one makes me feel that way. Matter of fact, I find it incredibly encouraging. I don't want to stop riding right now. So that's all I can ask of a bike. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to trying out commuting with it. We'll see how that goes. But overall, anytime you can ride a couple hundred miles, I don't stop other than to get gas. I rode it pretty much 90% of the way to work, and then I rode it back home. Well, not home, but back out for more. And now that I'm finally getting close to home, I wish the ride wasn't ending.